Okay. Come in, come in. The front row's open. I listen to you. You have to listen to me. Just kidding. Just kidding. But it is a small, intimate group. So if there is something that I'm going over, we have questions, we want me to pause, I can do that. I'm going to start out with a lot of analytics. Now, this Linkia job that we're talking about, I just started out on Tuesday. Okay. And here it is. We're a Saturday. So I'm not even a week into the job. I spent 5 years at Bayer. So think Claritin, Miralax, and Aleve, and a lot of pharmaceutical stuff, OTC, of course, so treated it like consumer packaged goods. Linkia was my agency of record for influencer marketing. I've spent my career in integrated marketing, and I am wanting to solely focus on influencer. The reason being is because I believe, or I know, that influencer marketing is the thing that every marketer needs to have in their toolkit. Now, if you don't do anything else and you only have $50,000 in your pocket to spend on a marketing execution, I will sit there and tell you every day to execute an influencer marketing program. So I have some slides, and I actually have a video from the work that I had recently done at Bayer, and I'm hoping that when I click this, the video plays. No. Do we anybody video? Spacebar. Can we press the spacebar on the computer? I've already bored them. Too cold. Wait, the video will warm you up. Okay. So I'm not going to waste our time trying to get the video to roll, but it's just a interactive way, a case study to show you everything that how influencer marketing comes together. So you've probably seen this stat or not. Influencer marketing is a huge industry, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So Deloitte & Touche keeps talking about how it's going to be a $1 trillion industry come 2027. So again, reason to invest in it. A stat from this year is that 71% of marketers are planning to increase their budgets. And they're also saying that their tendency is to work with micro influencers. So somebody like myself who has 12,000 followers, they're going to lean in and start leaning into those people as well. 89% believe it's effective. There's a over $5 earned media value. 86% of women, and I'd argue a ton of men as well, are using it to shop. TikTok reports that when you are working with a content creator, which think content creator and influencer goes hand in hand, same people, but 27% higher ad recall. And look at this astounding number of 91%. There's a view through rate on the content. And it affects shopping. It affects shopping as well. So that is the most important thing here. When you're trying to sell products and you're interested in getting it in the hands of your consumers, influencers are the way to do that. And it's that end-to-end marketing that is benefiting. Please come in. Please come in. We're an intimate group. We're having fun here. I swear. So 60% of consumers trust recommendations from influencers. So when you're at a company like I was, which was Bayer, not many people are going to turn around and say, hey, I trust you. I trust Bayer. Maybe they don't. So we lean into influencers. 48% affect purchase decisions. I can't tell you how this morning, actually, I was on Instagram and I saw a shirt and I was like, oh my God, I have to have that shirt. So people are shopping on social channels. And 41% of people say they follow influencers for product recommendations. Okay. And I like to tell the story here because the whole Ozempic, you're going to lose weight and all of this stuff. And the content that I lean into on my social channels is fitness, health, and sort of empowerment and stuff like that. So I get all these DMs from people asking me what I think about Ozempic. Last I checked, I'm not a doctor. But they are leaning into people who are out there spreading health and wellness messages that really to answer that for them, and they really should be going to a doctor. But I say that because the influencers are the people that are going to be communicating your messages. So this is just when you compare things side by side, and the orange is orange for a reason because it's the highest. But on the right-hand side is just a brand, Hidden Valley Ranch, decided to go out with their own content. And it's not that it does terribly. A 2.5% click-through rate is very good. And I'm sure that the brand would be delighted. Please come in, come in, come in. Don't be shy. So they're delighted. But if you now take that content and you put it on the brand channel, you get 4.3% click-through rate. So that's just adding the content in with the influencer. So adding them in that, and that's what you're going to get. But that's on the brand handle, okay? Now, if you take that content and you put it on the influencer's handle, still talking about Hidden Valley Ranch, same content, you get 8.5% click-through rate. So if I'm a brand manager, the numbers are right there. It's proven. Okay. So the problem is, and this is something I talk about a lot, is that people are leaning into influencer. And, you know, everyone's walking around South by here and everyone's talking about creator, and there are so many conversations that are happening that have to do with influencer. Hey, please come in, and how to use them and how to work with them. Most people are leaning into the 30% of organic influencer. Okay, so I have this widget and I'm going to hire this wonderful influencer right here, and she's going to put this on her social channel, talk all about it. It's so great. I use this, and you know, you guys should buy it, and da da da. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, do that. But there's 70% that you're leaving on the cutting room floor that you're not doing, or that most brands aren't doing. Some brands are doing. Bayer was doing it. And what is that? So that's all of the paid, the digital media amplification, the content utility, social commerce. Did you ever think about using an influencer and earn media? So why don't you put the program together, use the influencer for a satellite media tour, use them to go on a Jimmy Fallon or something like that to talk about your product. An influencer is going to carry a lot of weight. Giveaways and sweepstakes are another way to get your product in the hands of your customers by using influencers to host these giveaways. And data and insights is interesting because sometimes you're going to run surveys and do marketing research to identify and understand your customer, but you can understand your customer in a different way by looking at the influencers' analytics. And they have that back-end stuff. They can look at it, and you can too. Okay, so let's talk about it. We're on a baseball field, and we can't play any sport without all the players. And I truly believe that with all of these things working together, you have your ambassador, full funnel, that's all the things I mentioned. So you want to get that content, and I'll get into it a little bit more, and you want to use it end to end. So you want to get the organic stuff. Then you want to see what's performing really well. Put paid amplification beyond that. Maybe you want to use it in other places. I'll get into more detail. But we need the whole team playing together in order to win the game. You might come close to winning, but you won't win the game without the full team. So adding products direct to cart. We love this. And if you are a direct to consumer brand, I love you, and I love that because I can get the shopper and sales data, okay? So I can link directly to your website where you sell, and then I can tell you, oh, this influencer execution generated $500,000. But with bigger brands, you're not always able to do that. So there's this tool called Click to Cart, and there's other tools as well. And you can still add to cart. And what I love about this is you can group products. You can create a product page, and there's a lot of elements there. And you will know how many clicks you had, how much in product was dollar amount was added. And it's a good metric to have, and it's a good execution. Incentivized purchase. I talked about this. This is where we worked with this influencer when I was at Bayer on a Might All giveaway. Now, it wasn't just for somebody to have the OTC product. We had a nice package put together. You want to really incentivize people to enter the sweepstakes. Now, you're grabbing data from them. You're encouraging them to follow your social media pages. They're inviting friends to follow along. There's a lot of ways and a lot of engagement that comes out of these sweepstakes. You don't do them all the time, but in this instance, it did make a lot of sense, and it did increase engagement, and it did increase our reach to many, many more people beyond who was in her community. Influencer content on PDP pages. Now, a lot of us are selling through Amazon and Target and so on. There's an opportunity where, well, let me just back up a second, because one of the things is that I hear all the time, and it was when I was at Bayer and when I had clients in other places, it's like, it's so much money to get this content. I need this content, and I don't have enough for my PDP pages and all. Well, if you work with an influencer, you can have them shoot extra content, or you could take the content that they're putting on their own pages and you could use it here. And that's exactly what that is. These are influencer shot images, and they're quite beautiful. And this is our Amazon storefront that we use this for. Okay, so this is something that I have a whole nother presentation on, but don't worry, I'm not going to do that one here today. But working with influencers as ambassadors is really something that they love, and it's something that helps the brand. So when you think of something like a car company, like an Audi, right? So you're going to do one campaign with an influencer, but now that influencer has a car, maybe you gifted them or maybe you discounted or whatever the case was. Well, why not do a series, right? So maybe they're, first they get the car, they test drove it or something along the lines. Then they're road tripping. Then they're, family, extra leg room, whatever it is. But you can create a series of content. And the more that these influencers are talking about one product all the time, the more believable it becomes. And they like this relationship because they have a stream of money coming in now, whereas they, are constantly going out and one brand. This way they have a long-term relationship with us, and we are getting feedback from them as a long-term partner. So it is something that works very successfully in the beauty category, and rolled it out at Bayer, and it was definitely successful. Here are some of the numbers from the last year's program: 770 million impressions. Sorry if I'm in your way. 8.6 million carded value. So I talked about click to cart. 8.6 million. You know how much a bottle of Aleve costs? $6. You know how much product that is? This is huge. This is very huge for us. And there's a 5x return on investment. So every dollar spent, we're getting 5x on that investment. So now I take this to leadership. So those people that say to me all the time, yeah, well, my leadership doesn't really believe in it. Well, the numbers show you that if you're going to do something like this, there's a huge return on it. So honestly, I'm giving you all our trade secrets here. This is an influencer playbook that I developed that I go upon. Come in. This is what you need to do. This is the playbook. So you're going to start with that organic content, and I'll get into this a little bit more. I talked about media optimization. Don't leave anything on the table. You have all of this content now. Let's use it. And we're going to syndicate it across all of the places that we have marketing opportunities to do that. And then there's the full funnel measurement that I talked about. Apples to apples. We have ROAS, we have MMM, we have MTA. We can measure it with Nielsen. A lot of opportunity to do all of those things. And then learning and insights. And that's where you do some A/B testing. You could do some message testing. This is all through the influencers platform. And I would suggest you do that through paid influencer content as well. So this is what it looks like when you roll it out. This is a piece of content that happened organically, goes through the paid funnel, onto the brand channel. So that happened to be Maddie's, went on the website, e-commerce, Amazon pages, and then took it to programmatic. So programmatic being display, video, or CTV. And again, you could have stopped, like I said before, at the 25% at organic and had a successful program. But adding all of that adds all the additional value. So what I call this is this is capitalizing on the gold. So I have a case study in here to show you, and this was sort of something that we dreamt up because One Day came to me and said, hey, we want to get our 50-plus audience using One Day more. And I said, okay. And they're like, maybe we do influencer. I said, yeah, but we have to do something interesting. We have to do something different. We have to do something fun. Talking to the agency about it, the agency I'm at now, and we were talking about 50-year-olds, the music that they were listening to, and we started talking about Teach Me How to Dougie. And we're like, do you remember that song? And we're talking about it, and we're like, oh, we could do Teach Me How to Gummy. Let's see if we could license that song. By the way, it was expensive to license that song. And so we did. And we had somebody rewrite the song to Teach Me How to Gummy from Teach Me How to Dougie. And then I have to be honest, because I wish I would have come up with the idea. We had the influencers, the 50 plus. We did this on TikTok. That was a whole nother game to sell it in, because everyone at my company was like, they're not on TikTok. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. They're on TikTok. Their kids are on TikTok. They're on TikTok. Yeah. So we prove that. They're like, okay, do it on TikTok. And I'm talking to my husband about the campaign, and I'm like, I need a 50-year-old that is like dancing and stuff. And he's like, oh my God, Alfonso, you remember him from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? And he was dancing in the, like, I don't know if it was Coke or Pepsi commercial with Michael Jackson. I'm like, oh my God, yes, yes, yes. As soon as we reached out to him, he wanted to do it. So he kicked off the dance. It was a challenge. We had other influencers that, used the custom music. We had carding, and then we optimized this. So one of the things I want to talk about for a second is using sound. So it's an on-sound platform on TikTok. You're not going to turn TikTok on and turn your sound off. That doesn't make any sense. So it's an on-sound platform, so you need to be investing in what kind of sound you're going to have. And like I said, it was expensive to license the song, but it was well worth it. And then the results show how awesome it was. You can screenshot this if you want. Not screenshot, but take a picture if you want. But it was hugely successful, and it was TikTok's campaign of the year in the healthcare category, and it won several awards. So one of the last things I'm going to say is creators have the power. And I've presented this at VidCon, which is basically a creator show, if any of you have been there before. And I tell the creators that are sitting in the audience, look, you're going to eat the lunch of advertising agencies. Don't worry, advertising agencies, you're not going to go extinct. I have ideas for you too to stay in business. But creators are creating lo-fi content. That's what's resonating on these platforms. Creators are creating an abundance of content. There's a lot of things that they're doing. So they're now in the driver's seat and can be those brand partners for creating design content. I talked a little bit about this. So why are creators the next advertising agency? Well, because they're cost effective. So I know, because we had advertising agencies that we work with, it would be millions of dollars. We were coming out with Alka-Seltzer Energy, briefed our advertising agency, millions of dollars. And I said, you know what? Let's just use creators. $10,000. I had 5 creators and tons of content. Lo-fi wins on the platform. I talked about an abundance of content. You're not going to know what to do with it. It's very targeted because they know their channels and they know their community, so they can help you target even better. And the last one I really love is personalization, because if you're getting this abundance of content and it's so cost effective, you can create a version for the mom who sits home, the mom who's a fitness person, the mom who loves doggies, and you have all of this content now and you can personally target people. So it's definitely something that, fast forward 6 months, you'll say, oh, I saw that crazy lady in that leopard suit, and she said something about this, and it's happening because it's going to happen. Measuring success, what I love about influencer marketing is I started my career in PR, and all I heard all the time was impressions, like, what are impressions? And I was like, oh, PR, you're so cute. Just sit over there, and we'll let the big boys, advertising dollars, like, make all the decisions. And you can't get past that. PR today still fights that. Well, with influencer marketing, you have so many paid opportunities and paid elements that you can get all of this stuff. And this is all the stuff that every brand marketer is looking at. So if you attach it to a paid campaign, you're talking apples to apples. And now you can talk to the leadership team and sell an influencer just as much as you're selling in anything else. I had influencer executions way more than we were doing any other display ads at Bayer. And again, I repeat, that's a pharma company, highly regulated. And you're like, well, if you were so successful there, why did you leave? Because I was so successful there, and it's now time for me to be at an agency so I could spread the love to everybody, okay? And make this success bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's the legacy I want to leave. So it's an end-to-end process. If you do influencer marketing, I suggest you take a picture of this. If you don't, then you should start doing influencer marketing, and I suggest you take a picture of this. This is a proprietary end-to-end process that was created when I had my own consultancy. I brought it to Bayer, and I brought it to Linkia. And at Linkia, they now use this for all of their clients. And you think like, oh, it's a secret. It's not a secret. The reason why I put it up here and I want everybody to know about it is because I want everybody to do influencer marketing. And not only do I want you to do it, I don't want you to go home and do it like it really shitty. I want you to go home and I want you to do it really well, so that when you're talking to, whether it's your clients or your leadership team or anybody that you need to convince, I want you to execute it properly so that, again, this trillion-dollar industry is going to be bigger and bolder, and we're all going to win together. So I won't walk you through that because that's boring and you would snore. But that is the last slide. And I am Denise Vitola, and I am on LinkedIn. I'm also on social media under D's Workouts and something else on TikTok, so go find me. But nonetheless, I appreciate the time, and I hope that this was helpful to you. Happy to answer any questions. I think I have a couple more minutes left, if anybody has any.
So as
You're welcome.
an influencer, do you get to, so you gather analytics, do you sell those separately from the actual, whatever commissions or however it works that you get on driving the product, direct product sales? Or is it a package deal where you give them all the analytics and
Everything. So if you were to hire Linkia, right, me, as to run an execution for you, everything that you saw in that is a package deal. It's a pack. You get all of it. You get all of it. And I would sit with you and I would say, like, to your face, like, look, we can do an organic campaign for you, and we will, and it'll be great, but you'd be remiss not to do the whole thing. Will the organic campaign be less? Yeah, sure. Let's just say that's $50,000 to execute that. 100,000 to do all of it, so there's ways to scale up and down. I'm just throwing out numbers. Don't quote me here. Call me up tomorrow and say, well, you said, but I think that you're wasting your own time if you don't do all of it, is what I'm saying. You might as well invest wisely. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi. Great talk. I have a question about, there's a trend a few years ago about micro-influencers. I feel like that may have fallen by the wayside. I'm curious, first of all, what do you consider an influencer? Like what threshold of following? But do you think that micro-influencers still have a place in the market, or is that trend's kind of passed?
No, it's not. There is a huge place in the market for micro-influencers. And quite honestly, I would suggest using them more and more. They're going to be less money. And if you're going to do what I'm suggesting to you, so you're going to use an influencer like me, 12,000 followers, big deal, whatever, who cares? I'm going to produce good content, and then you're going to take that and you're going to optimize it, right? So it doesn't matter like who's seeing it on my channels. You're going to take it and you're now going to put paid dollars behind it. So that's going to be spread far and wide. So now you've got this great content, this great influence, and you didn't have to pay a ton of money for it, because if you're looking at influencers that have 1 million followers and things like that, then you're going to be paying more money. But you want to look at other things. You want to look at their comments. You want to look at their engagement rate, like how are people interacting with them. So there's a place for every influencer. And I never say like, oh, you got to have at least 3,000 followers to even be an influencer. No, there are doctors out there that have smaller followings, but they're so influential. And the content that they're putting out there is highly engaged with. There's a place for them. And there's a place for the 1 million followers and all of those things. It just depends on what is it that you're trying to achieve. What are you trying to do? Okay, all right, I understand. Okay, then we do need those 1 million followers, right? So we got to digest what your objective is, and then we come back with that. But I'm going to tell you, micro-influencers, huge, huge. Yes.
You shared the CTR metrics earlier. I was wondering, is that specifically TikTok, Instagram, other platforms averaged?
The metrics for which one? Teach me how to
There's
dummy.
like the 8.5 or 8.4%.
Oh, for the ambassadors.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cross-platform.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the programs that I would suggest executing, unless you're testing a platform. So we were really testing if TikTok was lying to us or not about the 50+ audience. So we just went in on TikTok. But most of the executions, I would say, look, it makes sense to be across as many platforms as you can be. So unless you have a real reason for only being on one platform, you should extend across as many as you can. And we've tried Snap and Pinterest and all of those things as well. But yeah, the two big ones are Instagram and TikTok. Anything else? Anything? Yeah. Bueller?
one more?
Yeah, no worries.
You had one of the slides talked about I don't know, this strategy drove 8.4 million cart purchases.
Yeah.
It was a 5-time
Yes.
return on investment.
Yes.
And that was still like there, I think.
It was the ambassador program. So we have about 10 ambassadors that we engage at the beginning of the year. We select them. have to be chosen for the program, and we work with them for a full year. So that's the full year metrics at the end with all 10 ambassadors.
Right. So my question is, the way you presented it, it sounded like this should have been a no-brainer for the executive level that decides how much more we're going to spend on this. But I got the sense that they
Yeah.
were actually ambivalent, or
Yeah.
they weren't. So
Yeah. I mean, have you ever met a large company like Bayer?
no.
Yeah. Well, I don't work there anymore, so there's a reason. No, I don't want to bash another company, but I'm just saying, like, you always have to convince people. Like, as I have to convince her that that jacket's pink and it's not purple. If she believes it's purple, she believes it's purple. You go into these meetings and there's always somebody that has a negative perception of something. Oh, well, what if somebody's going to make a negative comment? You know, you got the legal person there. Or you got the person that doesn't even have TikTok on their phone because they think China's trying to, you know, spy on us all. So, and then they have something to say about TikTok. So it's like, have you ever seen TikTok? So it's like you need to convince along the way. And even after a success, you still need to convince. You still need to take that up. I have a whole presentation about trust and how you do that, how you sell that in. I presented at Creator Economy Live, but it is really, truly a thing. Yeah, sadly, it is. Yes.
How do you approach, given the type of content requires different efforts from the content creator and a lot of different approval processes for, say, a live stream content, video content, photo content, and a lot of brands, in my experience, come up against the argument of budget and what an influencer is worth, and each influencer will have their own metric for what they're delivering with their KPI. Do you have a general recommendation for people who may not be as versed in approaching influencers who want those anticipated rates you see in the pitch?
Yeah, so we have a rate card and what we're willing to pay people based on their engagement rate, number of followers, and the type of content that they produce. And we just stay within that. And if an influencer says, well, my rate is 5,000, well, we are doing fair market value and we are doing equitable pay. So we've done a ton of research and we know that with all of those things considered, this is what you will get paid. So I think it's a loosey-goosey environment right now, and there are different organizations that are trying to fix that, ANA being one of them. But I would say you create that, and you tell them versus them telling you. Yeah. All right. Well, very good. I only had to threaten you all to be here, but thank you so much again.